She should have known the day would fall apart the moment the bride's fiancé fainted before the ceremony. Or maybe she should have known when her own heart dropped first, hitting the hotel floor long before he did. Because nothing ruins a wedding quite like realizing you might be in love with the bride. But that was exactly what Addison Cole felt the moment she lifted her camera and saw Mia Rivera standing in the center of the bridal suite mirror, breathtaking in lace and silk and soft white light. It was a stupid revelation, inconvenient and uninvited, slipping into her chest with all the subtlety of a hurricane crashing into a picnic. The worst part wasn't that Mia was her best friend. The worst part was that today was Mia's wedding day. And Addison had been hired as the photographer. She had photographed hundreds of weddings in New York and Los Angeles, chasing light and catching moments like butterflies between her fingertips, but she had never once felt her palms shake. She had never felt her breath catch like it was snared on a hook. She had never had to remind herself to breathe. But Mia did that to her. She always had. Addison just never let herself name the feeling. Addison stood frozen in the doorway of the suite at the Willow Bend Vineyard estate, the late afternoon sun draping warm gold across the room. Bridesmaids fluttered around Mia like pastel-colored birds, fussing with her veil, adjusting the delicate beadwork on her bodice, smoothing imaginary wrinkles while the bride laughed nervously. Addison lifted her camera again, using it like a shield. Click. Mia looked up. Their eyes met through the viewfinder, and something inside Addison cracked. The kind of crack you didn't notice at first, the tiny fracture in a glass window that spread slowly, silently, until the whole thing shattered. Mia lit up with the same soft, unguarded smile she'd always reserved for Addison, and it hit her so hard she nearly dropped the camera. She lowered it with a shaky exhale, pretending it was just the weight of the lens. Addison. Mia said her name the way some people said please. Addison, you made it. I was starting to think you'd get stuck in traffic forever. Addison forced a grin. Traffic, anxiety, existential dread. You know, the usual. Mia laughed. It was an easy sound, bright and familiar. You're ridiculous, she said, stepping closer. I'm so glad you're here. Of course I'm here, Addie replied, and the nickname slipped out before she could stop it. It felt too intimate, too warm, and Mia seemed startled for a moment before her features softened. The bridesmaids cleared out momentarily to grab more champagne from the hall, and suddenly it was just the two of them in the glowing quiet of the suite. Addison tried to breathe normally. Mia looked at her own reflection, smoothing her veil. Does it look too much? She asked. Be honest. I look like a ghost, right? Or a pastry. Maybe a ghost pastry. Addison blinked. You look. She swallowed hard. You look beautiful, Mia. Like painfully beautiful. Mia's cheeks flushed as she turned toward her. You don't have to hype me up just because I'm about to marry someone. Addison's heart stuttered. Yeah, well, you don't have to. Look like that. Like what? Like you're stealing the oxygen out of the room. That made Mia laugh again, but softer this time. More private. Addie. Addison stepped back before she could make a mistake. We should keep shooting. The groom's mother was already glaring at me like I'm responsible for the weather. Oh good, Mia teased. She needs new hobbies. Addison raised her camera, grateful for something to hide behind. But when Mia looked directly at her again, eyes shining with trust and affection, Addison felt the ache return sharp and familiar, like she had carried it unknowingly for years. Click. She wondered if the camera could capture heartbreak forming in real time. The bridal suite door burst open again as the bridesmaids returned, carrying champagne bottles and squealing with excitement. Mia was swept back into the swirl of preparations, leaving Addison with the hollow feeling of nearly drowning in her own thoughts. The whole estate hummed with anticipation. Guests filtered across the vineyard grounds, music drifted from the ceremony space, and servers moved through the hallways like a ballet of practiced efficiency. It should have been perfect, but an undercurrent of tension crackled through the air. Addison didn't know if it was coming from Mia or from herself. As she followed the bridal party out toward the vineyards, she caught sight of Ethan, Mia's soon-to-be husband, standing at the far end of the ceremony space. He looked pale, sweating under the shade of the white arch lined with roses. Someone handed him a glass of water. Someone else looked mildly alarmed. Addison couldn't blame him. If she were marrying Mia, she'd faint too. She shut that thought down immediately. It felt like betrayal, like crossing a line she'd promised herself she would never even approach. But the more she tried to suffocate the feeling, the more stubbornly it rose inside her. Halfway through photographing details, the rings, the bouquets, the table settings glinting under the fairy lights, Addison felt a gentle tug on her sleeve. Addie, Mia's voice. She turned, finding the bride standing a little away from the crowd, hands clasped in front of her like she was holding herself together. Can we talk for a second? Mia asked quietly. Addison nodded. They slipped behind the vine-covered pergola where no one could overhear. Mia exhaled shakily. Addison, something feels off. Addison's stomach flipped. Off how? I don't know. Mia pressed a hand to her chest. It's like me heart is beating for the wrong reason. Or maybe the wrong person. Or she broke off, biting her lip. God, I sound insane. Addison tried to keep her expression neutral. You're nervous, Mia. Weddings are like that. Big decisions. Big emotions. It's normal. But Mia shook her head. It's more than nerves. I look at Ethan and I feel nothing. Not the nothing bad kind. Just nothing. But when I look at you, she stopped. Addison's breath caught. Say it, a voice inside her whispered. But Mia didn't. Instead, she stepped forward and wrapped her arms around Addison in a tight, trembling hug. Addison froze. Mia whispered into her shoulder, I feel like I only breathe right when you're near. The world narrowed to the scent of Mia's hair, the warmth of her body, the brutal softness of the moment. Addison didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't let herself think. She just stood there, holding the woman who was minutes away from marrying someone else. When Mia finally pulled back, her eyes were glossy but steady. Thank you, Addie, she whispered. I just needed you. Addison nodded, forcing her voice not to break. I'm here. Always. Mia smiled, but it trembled. I know. A bridesmaid shouted Mia's name from across the courtyard, and the spell broke. Mia gave Addison one last look, one that felt like a promise and a goodbye wrapped together, and hurried off. Addison leaned against the pergola, gripping her camera like it could anchor her. Her chest ached. Her hands trembled. This wedding was going to kill her. The ceremony began moments later. Guests stood. Music swelled. The vineyard shimmered under the slanting golden sunset. Addison took her place near the front, adjusting her camera settings with hands that weren't entirely steady. Ethan tried to smile, though he still looked like he might faint again. The officiant flipped through his notes. The guests quieted. Then the doors of the estate opened, and Mia stepped out. Stunning, radiant, glowing like she carried the sun inside her. Addison's heart dropped again, harder this time, like it was falling straight through her. Click. Through her lens, Mia looked directly at her. Not at Ethan. Not at the guests. At her. And Addison knew in that impossible, unbearable moment that she couldn't keep pretending forever. Not today. Not anymore. As Mia walked down the aisle, something flickered in her gaze, fear, longing, a silent plea Addison didn't yet understand. But she would. Because today wasn't going to end the way anyone expected. And Addison was about to face the truth she had run from for years, even if it broke her. The ceremony was supposed to begin smoothly, but Addison could see the tension gathering like storm clouds behind Mia's smile. Even the guests felt it, shifting in their seats, whispering, sensing that something was off but unable to name it. Addison kept shooting, hands steady only because muscle memory saved her from falling apart. She moved like she was on autopilot, but inside, she fought the rising panic that she might be witnessing Mia walk into a life she didn't want. Mia reached the altar. Ethan took her hands, but Mia's attention flicked toward Addison again. Just for a split second. It was enough to send another violent jolt through her. The officiant cleared his throat. We gather here today to celebrate. A loud thud echoed across the vineyard. Ethan had collapsed. Gasps rippled through the audience. Mia immediately crouched beside him, panic flooding her features. Addison lowered her camera, instincts kicking in. Someone call an ambulance, a bridesmaid cried. I don't think it's that serious, someone else said, fanning Ethan. But Ethan's face was chalk white, and his eyelids fluttered like he was drifting in and out. Addison rushed forward to help steady him. The officiant, clearly not trained for emergencies, just stood frozen with his book held awkwardly against his chest. Ethan groaned as he blinked awake. I'm fine. It's hot out here. It wasn't that hot. Mia grabbed his hand, her expression torn between concern and something else Addison recognized too clearly: uncertainty. They brought Ethan to a shaded bench near the ceremony arch. Someone handed him water. Another guest offered fruit. The vineyard staff scrambled with umbrellas and towels. It was chaos. Addison stood back, watching Mia watch Ethan, and something inside her twisted painfully. "You okay?" she asked softly when Mia stepped away to catch her breath. Mia didn't answer at first. She stared at the vineyard rose shimmering under the sun, the grapes glowing amber. Her hands trembled. "I don't know what's happening," Mia whispered. "I feel like everything is falling apart. Or maybe everything is finally showing its cracks." Addison had no idea what to say. She wasn't supposed to have opinions about the bride's emotional state on her wedding day. She was supposed to document the love story, not notice where it was unraveling. But Mia turned to her with eyes full of something raw, something vulnerable. "Addie, can I ask you something? Anything. Do you think I'm making a mistake?" The world stopped. Addison inhaled sharply. "Mia, Tell me the truth," Mia pleaded. "Please. Not what you think I want to hear. What you really think." Addison's voice felt trapped in her throat. "I don't think it matters what I think." "It does." Mia stepped closer. "You've always seen me more clearly than anyone. Even more than I see myself." Addison looked down at her feet, suddenly afraid of the truth that hovered between them like a spark trying to catch fire. "I think." She hesitated. "I think you deserve to be with someone who makes you feel alive. Someone who makes you feel safe. Someone who makes you feel chosen." Mia's breath hitched. "And you don't think Ethan does?" "I didn't say that. But you didn't deny it." Addison finally looked up. "What do you want me to say?" Mia opened her mouth but someone interrupted them. "Mia, Ethan wants to talk to you." A bridesmaid waved her over urgently. Mia stepped back from Addison, a shadow of confusion crossing her features. "I'll be right back," she whispered. Addison watched her go, heart cracking in real time. The guests were restless. The officiant whispered nervously to the wedding planner. Ethan rubbed his temples while Mia crouched beside him again, speaking softly. Addison lifted her camera, more out of habit than intention. She took a picture of Mia kneeling next to Ethan, her hand hovering but not touching his shoulder. A moment that would look tender to anyone else. But Addison saw the truth. Mia's heart was somewhere else. The ceremony was postponed for half an hour to let Ethan recover. Guests milled around, sipping drinks, murmuring among themselves. Addison stepped away toward the back of the venue, where she could breathe without suffocating. She was leaning against a stone wall when she heard footsteps. "Addison." It was Ethan. His shirt collar was damp with sweat, but he looked strangely calm now, like someone who had made a decision. "Can I talk to you?" he asked. Addison straightened. "Sure." Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. "I'm not blind. I know there's something between you and Mia." Addison froze. "What?" Ethan gave a mirthless laugh. "I see the way she looks at you. The way you look at her. I've always noticed. I just kept hoping I was wrong." Addison swallowed hard. "We're just friends." He held up a hand. "Don't. Please. I'm tired, Addison. Tired of pretending everything's fine. Tired of forcing myself to ignore the truth." Addison didn't know what truth he meant, but her chest tightened. Ethan sighed deeply. "Mia doesn't love me the way she should. Not the way someone should love the person they're about to marry. And I think..." He hesitated. "I think she loves you." The world tilted. "No." Addison stepped back instinctively. "That's not..." She doesn't." Ethan looked at her with an expression that was oddly gentle. "You love her too. Anyone can see it." Addison couldn't breathe. Ethan continued. "I kept telling myself that once we got married, things would settle. She'd stop looking at you like that. You'd move on. We'd build a life." He shook his head. "But I realized something today when I passed out." Addison stared at him, waiting. "I realized I'm about to marry someone who isn't fully mine. And that's not fair to me, to her, or to you." Addison's voice cracked. "I don't want to be part of breaking your wedding." "You're not," Ethan said softly. "It was already broken." Then he exhaled. "Addison, do you love her?" She almost said no. She almost lied. But her heart betrayed her with a whisper so soft she wasn't sure he heard it. "Yes." Ethan nodded, as if he had expected that answer. Then you need to talk to her before it's too late. Before she could respond, Mia appeared behind him. Worry etched across her face. Ethan, are you okay? Then her gaze fell on Addison and lingered, warm and uncertain and full of questions. I'm fine, Ethan said. Actually, can we talk? All three of us? Addison stiffened. Mia looked confused. But Ethan didn't wait for agreement. He led them to the small library room in the estate building, a quiet place away from prying eyes and whispered gossip. Once the door closed, silence wrapped around the three of them. Ethan inhaled. Mia, do you want to marry me? Mia's lips parted, but no words came out. She looked down at her hands, twisting her engagement ring. Ethan nodded slowly. That's what I thought. Mia's head snapped up, eyes wide with guilt. Ethan, to care about you so much, I just care isn't enough, he said gently. Not for marriage. His eyes softened. And especially not when your heart belongs to someone else. Mia froze. Addison's breath caught. Ethan continued, voice steady. Mia, I love you. I want you to be happy. And if your happiness isn't with me, I need to accept that. Mia shook her head, tears forming. I don't know what I feel. Everything's confusing. Today's overwhelming. I don't even trust myself to think straight. Ethan glanced at Addison. Maybe you should talk to her. Really talk. Addison felt her pulse spike. Mia looked between them like she was standing at the edge of a cliff, terrified to jump. Ethan stepped toward the door. I'm going to give you two space. Whatever happens, I'll respect it. He paused with his hand on the doorknob. Just, don't lie to yourselves. Life's too short for that. Then he left. The room felt suffocatingly quiet once he was gone. Mia wiped her eyes. Addie. Addison stepped closer. Mia, listen, no, let me talk first. Mia held up a trembling hand. Addison stopped. Mia took a deep breath. Today when I walked down the aisle, I thought I'd feel joy or certainty or something beautiful. But all I felt was panic. Panic in this. Hey. She pressed a hand to her chest. Like I was walking towards something wrong. Addison swallowed. Weddings are scary, Mia. It's normal, Mia shook her head. It wasn't bridal nerves. It was you. Addison's heartbeat stilled. Every time I looked at you, I felt like I couldn't breathe. Her voice trembled. Not in a bad way. In the way that felt like the truth. Addison blinked rapidly, throat burning. Mia stepped closer until she was only inches away. Addie, you've been in every important moment of my life. Every heartbreak. Every triumph. You're the first person I think about in the morning. The last person I want to disappoint at night. Her voice cracked. And when Ethan proposed, I said yes because I thought I was supposed to. Because it was safe. Because it made sense. She shook her head. But I didn't realize until today. I've been running from something else. Someone else. Addison's voice was barely a whisper. Mia. Mia lifted her trembling gaze. Tell me I'm wrong, Addie. Tell me I imagined everything. Tell me I'm being stupid and emotional and dramatic. Addison stepped forward, eyes shining. You're not wrong. Mia gasped softly. Addison exhaled shakily. You're not imagining it. You're not dramatic. You're not confused. Her voice wavered. I love you, Mia. The confession hit the air like a spark in a dry field. Mia's breath hitched, a soft, surprised sob escaping her. She covered her mouth with her hand as tears spilled down her cheeks. Addison reached for her hands. I didn't want to ruin anything. I didn't want to get in the way of your happiness. So I buried it. All of it. For years. She took a shaky breath. But today, watching you walk down that aisle, I realized I can't pretend anymore. Mia's hand squeezed hers, gentle and desperate. Addie. Before Mia could say more, there was a knock on the door. Addison and Mia jumped apart. The wedding planner poked her head in, frantic. We need a decision. The guests are waiting. Is the ceremony continuing or not? Mia wiped her tears, looking at Addison, then at the door, then back at Addison again. The planner looked between them, confused but impatient. Mia? What should I tell everyone? Mia's fingers trembled in hers. And Addison realized this was it. The moment everything would change. Mia inhaled deeply. As she closed her eyes, Addison felt her heart stop. Mia opened her eyes again. Tell them. Tell them the ceremony is cancelled. The words fell from Mia's lips with a quiet certainty that silenced the room. The wedding planner stared at her, stunned, as if she expected Mia to laugh and say it was a joke. But Mia didn't laugh. She stood tall, breathing deeply, wiping her last tear with the back of her hand. Cancelled? The planner repeated like she needed the word confirmed. Yes, Mia said, steady now. Tell everyone I'm calling off the wedding. The planner nodded numbly and hurried out, leaving Addison and Mia in the quiet echo of the most life-altering sentence they'd ever spoken aloud. Addison felt lightheaded. Mia, are you sure? This is huge. Everyone's here. The venue, the money, your families, let them be disappointed then, Mia said softly but firmly. I've disappointed myself long enough. I'm not going to live a lie for the rest of my life just to avoid a few uncomfortable conversations. Addison felt something crack open in her heart. Awe, love, fear, hope. She stepped closer, voice trembling. I don't want you to choose me because you're scared or overwhelmed, or Mia stopped her with a gentle hand on her cheek. I'm not choosing you out of fear. Her touch was soft, grounding. I'm choosing the truth. And you're part of that truth. Addison closed her eyes, trying to breathe, trying to process what this meant. What about Ethan? I talked to him, Mia whispered. You weren't the only one who had a confession to make today. Before Addison could respond, there was another knock on the door. Ethan stepped inside. His face was drawn, tired, but peaceful in a way Addison hadn't seen before. He looked at Mia with a bittersweet smile. I heard, he said simply. Mia swallowed. Ethan, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to hurt you. I never wanted today to end like this. Ethan shook his head. I know. And honestly, this is the best ending we could have hoped for. Addison blinked. What? Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, letting out a soft, helpless laugh. I've been pretending for a while. Pretending that the version of love Mia gave me was enough. Pretending that I didn't see how her eyes followed you around a room. Pretending I didn't notice how she always called you first when something good happened. Or something bad. He sighed. But today when I fainted, I realized I was terrified. Not because of the crowd or the heat, but because I was about to marry someone who wasn't truly mine. Mia's eyes softened. Ethan. He lifted a hand. It's okay. I'll survive. Then he looked at Addison. Just take care of her, okay? She deserves someone who sees her. Really sees her. Addison felt emotion swell in her throat. I will, she whispered. Promise. Ethan nodded, gave them both one last sad but sincere smile, and stepped back through the doorway. Before leaving, he paused. Hey, if you two end up happy, just tell people I fainted because the love of my life left me for a woman. He grinned faintly. At least it'll make a good story. Mia cracked a small laugh through her tears. Ethan, thank you. For everything. He nodded and walked away. Silence filled the room again. This time it felt different. Not heavy. Not suffocating. Just waiting. Mia turned to Addison. Now that it's just us, can I say something scary? Addison's lips curved. Everything today has been scary. Mia took a shaky breath. I'm in love with you, Addison. The words hit Addison like a soft blow to the chest, knocking the air from her lungs. She felt tears spring to her eyes without warning. Mia continued, voice trembling but certain. I think I've been in love with you for a long time. I was just too afraid to admit it. To you. To myself. I kept telling myself it couldn't be real because you were my best friend and I didn't want to risk losing you. But today, she stepped closer, reaching for Addison's hand. Today I realized I'm losing myself by pretending I don't feel this. And I don't want to pretend anymore. Addison's tears spilled before she could stop them. Mia, I love you. I've loved you since the first time you dragged me out of my dorm room sophomore year, just to watch cheap fireworks over the Hudson River. She let out a shaky breath. I've been so scared of ruining us, of confusing you, of wanting too much. Mia squeezed her hand. You are not too much. She shook her head, eyes shining. You're exactly enough. Addison let out a quiet sob, relief washing over her like a warm tide. Mia stepped into her arms and Addison held her tightly, breathing her in, feeling the softness of her dress, the tremble of her shoulders, the unspoken vow settling between them with quiet certainty. After a long moment, Mia pulled back with a watery smile. Will you walk with me? I think I owe about 100 people an explanation. Addison nodded. I'll be right beside you. They stepped out into the sunlight together. The vineyard buzzed with confusion and whispers. Guests gathered in small clusters, heads turning as Mia and Addison walked side by side across the courtyard. There was no hiding, no escape route, no turning back. Mia waited until she reached the front steps, taking a deep breath as she faced the crowd. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice steady. "I know this isn't the announcement you were expecting, but today has made me realize something important. Something honest." She reached for Addison's hand and intertwined their fingers. "I can't marry someone when my heart belongs somewhere else." A ripple moved through the guests' surprise, curiosity, understanding. Addison felt Mia's fingers tremble in hers, so she squeezed them gently. Mia continued, "Ethan and I have decided together to call off the wedding. We both deserve a love that's true. And today, I found the courage to follow mine." Some gasps, some murmurs, but also nods, soft smiles, people who understood. Mia exhaled, relieved. The wedding planner began directing guests inside for refreshments. The tension broke. The confusion shifted into chatter. The world kept spinning, but in a different direction now, one Mia had chosen for herself. Addison pulled her aside as the crowd dispersed. "You were incredible," she whispered. Mia laughed softly. "I was terrified." "You didn't look terrified." "That's because you were holding my hand." Addison felt warmth unfurl inside her. "I'll hold it as long as you want." "Forever sounds good," Mia said softly. They walked together through the vineyard paths, escaping the crowd for a moment of quiet. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in flecks of orange and pink that looked almost unreal. Mia stopped near the edge of the vines, turning to face her fully. "Addie, I know today was a mess. Chaotic. Painful. But it also made everything clear for me." She reached up, touching Addison's cheek gently. "I don't want to waste another day pretending I don't love you." Addison felt her heart stutter. "Then don't." Their foreheads touched. The air between them warmed. "Can I?" Mia whispered, brushing her thumb along Addison's jaw. Addison smiled, soft and trembling. "I've been waiting for you to ask." Mia leaned in, closing the tiny space between them. Their lips met in a soft, trembling kiss, slow, careful, full of everything they had been too scared to say. It was gentle but deep, fragile but real, warm with the promise of something new, something long overdue. Addison cupped Mia's face, pulling her closer. Mia melted into her, fingers curling into the fabric of Addison's shirt like she'd been waiting her whole life to do it. When they finally pulled back, they were both breathless. Mia laughed quietly, brushing her nose against Addison's. "That felt right." Addison grinned. "Perfectly right." They stayed like that for a moment, wrapped in sunset and new beginnings, the vineyard glowing around them like it was blessing their first moment together. In the weeks that followed, life shifted. There were uncomfortable conversations with family, awkward explanations, curious questions. But there was also incredible relief, freedom, honesty. And Addison and Mia learned each other in ways they never had before, not as friends dancing around the truth, but as two women falling deeply, fearlessly in love. One evening, months later, they stood together in the small studio where Addison edited her photos. Mia leaned against her from behind, arms wrapped around her waist, chin resting on her shoulder. "You know," Mia murmured, "I used to think weddings were supposed to be perfect." Addison smirked. "Yours was memorable." Mia laughed softly. "The best part was the moment it ended." Addison turned in her arms. "And the beginning of everything after." Mia kissed her softly. "Exactly." Addison pulled up the first photo she ever took that day, Mia standing in front of the mirror, looking radiant, looking scared, looking like she was about to step into a life that wasn't hers. Mia smiled at the image. "I look so lost." Addison shook her head. "You look like someone waiting to be found." Mia closed her eyes, resting her forehead against Addison's. "You found me." Addison held her close. "No, we found each other." And as the evening light filtered through the studio windows, warm and gentle, Addison kissed her again, soft, sure, full of quiet promise. Their story, once tangled with confusion and longing, now unfolded with clarity, warmth, and a future built on truth. A future they would write together, hand in hand, heart to heart, finally home. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.